are live with the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Development bi-weekly call. Today is March 13th. Yes, we are in the middle of daylight savings time. It is crazy. So thank you all for sticking with us and joining. We know it might be a little light today because of that shift. I tell you, daylight savings time, it's where every hour feels like a mystery, and even Scooby-Doo and the gang would say, ruh-roh, no thanks. We don't want to figure that one out. So we are all here together, though, safety in numbers, and excited for what we have in store. We're going to talk about the latest updates on the community. We're going to have things like Copilot Prompt of the Week, PNP.NET library updates and PowerShell, script samples, Copilot Camp, and the latest on Power Platform samples. And then, of course, everybody's favorite time, picture time, so get those fantastic faces ready. And then our three amazing and all-star presenters of the day. Manish is here to talk about how to repair flow errors with Copilot Assistance and Power Automate Desktop for unattended scenarios. And then Salah is here, how to build a PTO Assistant with Copilot Studio. And Samuel is going to talk about enhancing your Canvas apps with custom URLs. But first, we have a number of resources available to each and every one of you in the community. What are those resources, you may ask? Well, first of all, they are absolutely free. Things like Microsoft Community, I can't talk today. Apparently that hour lost also affected my speech. Microsoft Community Learning videos at the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. It is absolutely free. We have videos dropping there every single day. So go subscribe, be alerted to all the latest and greatest. We've also got our LinkedIn group for discussions. We've got open source tooling like Microsoft 365, CLI for Microsoft 365. We've got PNP.js. We've also got all those sample galleries that are made possible by only the efforts of each and every single one of you. So things like team samples, SPFX samples, Power Platform, list formatting, the list boom, boom, goes on and on. You got to remember only one URL for all of this goodness. It is aka.ms/community/home. Or we got our fancy new full-level, top-level domain, community.ms. Just throw that into your browser, and it will absolutely take you back to the homepage of our community. Now, if you're on this call, it's because hopefully you like calls. Well, we like them too. We got plenty more for you. Each week, we've got our Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Microsoft Presenters call. That is every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Now, that is special because those are program managers and product managers showing you the latest and greatest of things that are being created within the mothership. We've got our monthly Power Platform call. That's happening next week. We've got our Office add-ins that are monthly. And then, of course, our sibling bi-weekly calls. The one you're on now, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community, and Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. Every Thursday, I want to say at the exact same time, but you know, daylight savings time. But it is every Thursday. It's going to be 7 or 8 Pacific, always usually 7. So we look forward to seeing you all at the next one. The Tuesday call coming up here on the 18th of March, Ika is going to be here talking about create your first custom engine agent with Microsoft Teams Toolkit. And then April is going to be on the call getting started on creating autonomous agent with Copilot Studio. And Rama is going to be there talking about ability to manage your agents across Power Platform environments. So we are excited for that. Again, you can get the invite at ak.ms/community/that long URL right there that I don't need to say, but I'll put in the chat for you all, and you can have on the show notes. Now, if you're watching and you think, I am seeing some really cool stuff today, you'd be right. And you also are thinking, I have cool stuff, and you'd be right again. Well, we welcome you to present all those amazing things on the call. We invite each and every one of you. Now, don't overthink it. You don't have to solve time travel and daylight savings time. You just got to be passionate and have something that you think is cool. I promise others will think it's cool too. So if you would like, please fill out this form, aka.ms/community/request/demo. Rolls right off the tongue, and we will get back to you. We'll get you scheduled, and we will even work together with you if you need some support and assistance. So let us know. Would absolutely love to have you. And if you're reaching out and wanting to reach out and trying to get help reaching out and do more and contributing and all that good stuff, Sharing is Caring is here to help you. We just had a session on Monday. It was fantastic. Folks who had never contributed via GitHub learned how to maneuver that labyrinth, that Git of hubs, that hub of Gits, that confusing maze that can be making a contribution on GitHub. We demystify it. These sessions are live, they're hands-on, they are safe space, which means we do not record them, so you're safe to ask any and all questions without it going on record. We always a little get worried about that. Don't worry about it. We're going to learn together. We ought to learn from somewhere. So let's learn together. Be on the lookout for a new schedule coming soon. Stephanie, Marshall, and Todd Clint are leaning in to help out so that we can have more scalability there. And April and I are working on some more of those tactical responsive Power Apps and component library sessions, so be on the lookout for that. Exciting stuff. ak.ms/sharing is caring is your link to get access to the updated schedule. So keep on the lookout for that, and we'll let you know when we schedule another one as well. Our recognition program, of course, is alive and well. We want to recognize you for the amazing work that you're doing, and that is where these badges come into play. So we've still got the amazing newer badges like Prompt Pro, Snippet Sorcerer. We just finished up Powerful Devs. We're finishing up SharePoint Hackathon. Repo Rescuers going on right now. Modern Search with Casper. And, of course, the latest that just got dropped this week, yes, I am your father. Yes, the Star Wars themed badges are coming in April, May, and June. So may the open source be with you. The Fork Awakens and Rise of the Contributor. More details coming soon. You'll be able to access all of these. We're still having fun with it. They are real. They do recognize real contributions that you are doing. But hey, it should be fun, and we want it to be fun. So let's make it fun. We're going to have a lot of fun together. Be on the lookout for those. ak.ms/recognition, 100% free. We do need you to opt in so that we can connect you to the work that you're doing, but you only got to do that once. So we appreciate it. ak.ms/community/recognition. All right, let's move on to the project-specific updates. First up is our prompt library. So this is one of the easiest ways for us all to get involved and contribute in the community because we're all kind of becoming those prompt engineers, how to talk to Copilot and all that good stuff. So if you have something that you've built, it's a super easy way. And if you're not sure how to contribute via GitHub, again, let us know. Sharing is caring is the way to do that. And the prompt of the week this week is Marcus Franz. So he's got it set up to organize his Monday meetings because, hey, who loves Mondays? Nobody, right? But it could be easier with Copilot. So ask it to help you out, give you that bulleted list. Wonderful job, Marcus. Really appreciate the contribution here. We'll put the link to that specific one in the chat and the show notes, and you can go check it out for yourself. Let's move on to PNP.NET libraries with Bert.
Thank you, David. So for the PNP.NET side, there's some really cool updates on the Core SDK side. So the modern library, the newer one, mainly from René. So René did implement several page API updates. We now have a fix for, like, if you combine a full width header with a vertical section, we lost that information when saving a page, so that's fixed. There's reflow support for vertical sections, meaning if you have a vertical section at the right side, for example, and when you make the screen smaller, you can now decide whether the vertical section goes on top or at the bottom of the page. And the most cool thing is that he added support for the new section backgrounds. So if you have a page with section backgrounds, like a nice image, etc., and you save it, now you can, PNP Core SDK is keeping that change. So when you create a new page from it, the background is still there. So really cool. And this is like the foundation for offering proper support for actually for you as a developer to create a page with a section background, etc. So that's coming as the next step. So really nicely done. And then Martin did work on recycling folders. So we now have like a method to recycle a folder. So pretty cool as well there. But yeah, that's it for the Core SDK side. Moving over to PowerShell. Thank you all, folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Got him. Tell us more about PowerShell.
Hey, thanks, David. Thanks, Bert. In PNP PowerShell as well, we are running the nightly builds. We are super close to the release 3.0. There's an issue with generating certificates, so that's why we are delaying it a bit. We want to get it out in a better way, so it has few bugs as possible, so that's why we have delaying it a bit probably. So what we did in the latest nightly builds would be that we added 3 commands: set PNP site document ID prefix and reset document PNP document ID. So those 2 commands are you can use to interact with the document ID prefixes as well. We also added an additional commandlet called get PNP Microsoft 365 roadmap, so you can get all those roadmap items from the Microsoft roadmap site, and and then you can process it further in your own scenarios such as Planner and all that. What else? We fixed an issue with the add PNP application customizer as well, so it was not properly setting the description and the sequence values. So that has been fixed, and it's out in the latest nightly builds. So would request you all to check out the nightly builds and give us feedback on the discussion forum or the GitHub issue list as well. Thanks. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you. Got him. Let's move forward into script samples. Paul Bullock, tell me more.
I will tell you more. So we have 2 brand new samples. scan libraries with webhook, export to CSV with Casper Larson, and we've got a new SPO management shell, Hi People, who have lists open by Tetsuya Kawai. So if you don't know what script samples is, so script samples is a place where you can share your PowerShell scripts with the various tools that we produce with the community. And we have hundreds of them for you to use, covering things like Microsoft Graph, PnP PowerShell, SPO Management Shell, and much, much more. And this is integrated into the Microsoft Sample Gallery, so they get publicized there. And also Adam has a cool extension, which also surfaced those there as well. So, if you share your scripts here, you can see those in many places. So I'm still doing a sort of a pulse check around Python support. So sorry I missed the community call last time, but I just wondered, is there any sort of interest for Python support within the site, or if there's a community have scripts on that level they want to share? Feel free to ping me. I'll be interested to see if it's worth me baking that in. Also, we have badges as well. So if you contribute towards the badges, I feel like I need a significant upgrade on my badges based on what I've just seen, those cool new ones. Yeah, there is a badge for it. As long as you opt in, then you'll get a badge for your contributions. And thank you very much for those that have contributed as well today and in the past as well. Super, super cool. And back to you, David.
Yes, awesome stuff. Thank you, Paul. And yes, those badges are still rocking. I love them. So go get them, everybody. Again, Script Sample is one of the easier ways. And I tell you what, I love Casper, the friendly contributor. See what I did? Friendly contributor. Okay, everybody, let's move on to Copilot Pro Dev Sample Agents with Mr. Bob the Builder, Bob German.
Hello. How y'all doing? Really exciting week. We've got 4 samples, partly because I got a little bit behind on processing them. But anyway, thanks for your patience, eJazz. So we've got the M365 roadmap tracker. This actually uses the graph connector, a different sample, to consume the M365 roadmap, and then it can answer questions and talk to you about what's coming in M365. We've got the advanced communicate, and thanks for Mohammed Amer for that one. Paul Bullock, who just spoke, did an advanced communications buddy, which assists in creating M365 corporate communications and also utilizes API. From eJazz, we have the ResolveMate support ticket agent. He actually built a support ticket system and an API there in C# and SQL, and then the agent helps to manage these tickets. And then finally, thank you to Valeros for the resource assistant, which helps to optimize teams' workloads across your team. So if you want to build some of these, I just put in a link to Copilot Dev Camp, which has labs on how to build these types of agents for yourself. And please check out the agents up on the URLs that are shown. And back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. And yeah, excellent stuff, everybody. Thank you all for contributing. And to round it out nicely is Power Platform, samples, snippets, and prompts with Kate.
Yes, hello. So today we have a lot to share. We have a lot of prompts. Thank you very much for April Dunham, for Daniel Laskowicz, and of course, thank you very much for Sandeep Ghatak and Ravindra Janhav for sharing these amazing prompts. It is for AI Builder, it is for Copilot Studio, it is for Power Apps, so you can build whatever you want. You can analyze, create applications, Copilots, whatever you want, really. And it's completely free, and you can check them out in our repository. And also we have 2 new brand samples, which I very love. The first one is charts for Power Apps from Samir Dodi. This is a very, very nice and beautiful application, and I encourage you to check it out. It's about how to go further, how to go beyond all the built-in charts that we have in Canvas app applications, and how to extend this functionality with quick chart I/O. This sample includes several components, very, very nice looking different charts, and with dynamic data, so you can incorporate them in your project. You can learn by this sample how to use this functionality in your project. You can get inspired. So Thank you very much, Samir, for this outstanding work. Great job. And the second sample is from Manish Solanki. By the way, Manish is our regular contributor. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for your work that you shared with us. And today I would like to highlight his new sample, mention teams or channel in the message post. The title is very self-explained, so you can craft the message and mention the teams or channel. It is a Power Automate flow, very well structured, so you can use it in your projects as well. I would like to say thanks to all of our contributors. And as always, I would like to highlight that everything is completely free and samples are unmanaged. So you can just download and learn, get inspired and work with these samples. And I would like to encourage you to become a contributor as well to our gallery. So just follow this link that you can see on this slide and explore a contribution guide. And if you will have any questions, just ping me via LinkedIn or whatever it's convenient for you, and I will be more than happy to assist you, to help you to get submission ready code and merge your samples and highlight to any of our community calls as well. So let's grow together, and that's all from my side, and back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. I love seeing that list of prompts is packed tight like a piñata. You might say there's a plethora of them. Anybody? All right. Well, hey, what time is it? Yes, I'm making jokes. It is now time to move on to picture time. So get those cameras turned on, and I promise I will try to not make any more jokes, but you know, you're probably gonna have to endure them a little bit. But all right, let's move this on over here. Looking great, seeing those cameras turned on. I will initiate the Camtasia. Woo, let's get that moved over. All right. Okay, we are just about 30 seconds over time, so let's give it just another few seconds for everybody. I see Zhao there, looking great. See Stephanie, see Kate. All right, I see Bob. We're looking a little pixelated. Things are clearing up. All right, I think we are just maybe 30 seconds away from having to get this. Let's give it just a couple more. Okay, let's count it down, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Wave to the community. Woo, great to see you all again. So appreciative for all the work that you're doing in the community. We would not have events like this, calls, samples, any of the projects that we have without the amazing work and dedication and passion of all you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll get this shared out on the socials. All right, without any further ado, let's move into the rest of our regularly scheduled program. That is going to begin with Manish. He's going to talk about how to repair flow errors with Copilot's assistance in Power Automate Desktop for unattended scenarios. Manish, if you'd like to take over the screen, take it away.
Thank you, David. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know once it is visible.
Yep, looks like I got it loaded there. Yep, so there you go.
Okay, yeah. So hello everyone. Thank you all for joining the weekly call. I would like to thank community engagement team for giving me the opportunity and platform to share my experience. I'm going to talk about a very cool Copilot feature in Power Automate for desktop that assists us in detecting the fix for UI errors during flow execution. Before I begin, I would like to give a quick introduction. My name is Manish Solanki. I am working as a Power Platform architect in a service-based company. I specialize in designing and implementing solutions by leveraging the capabilities of Power Automate, Power Apps, and other Power Platform tools. Besides presenting demos, some of my other community contributions are sharing solutions in the tech forums, content creating in the form of blogs, YouTube video, sharing code and sample in the Microsoft sample gallery. So during this session, I will cover the most common error scenario in the UI and web automation. Next, we will discuss about the solution, that is repair flow error feature to resolve the UI automation errors. Post that, we will also cover the benefits of setting up this feature in automation process. After that, we will discuss the prerequisite to enable this feature in Power Platform environment. Then we will jump on the hands-on session where I will show end-to-end case to resolve error for unattended scenarios. Lastly, we will cover the list of known issues and limitations. Most frequent problem we face in UI and web automation are, we have observed that post new release or patch of underlying application, the existing UI selected in desktop flow becomes invalid. due to code or UI changes by the application developer. Secondly, when underlying application that is set up or provisioned in lower environment, dev or test has different classes or identifier. So for UI element as compared to production environment. So when we push the desktop flow in production, the desktop flow will not able to identify those UI elements and will fail eventually. Coming to the solution, error related to missing UI elements in automation can be fixed by enabling repair flow error feature. Presently, this feature is in public preview, but good news is that it will be generally available in the month of April as per the release plan. This feature is available in Power Automate Desktop version 2.51 or higher and allow user to enable or disable this feature as per the business case. This solution is applied only for UI elements that cannot be found at the execution time by bot in UI and web automation scenarios. The Copilot suggests alternative selector for missing UI element on the screen during runtime. It also allows user to review the Copilot suggestion before applying and saving the alternative UI selector. On the right side, we can see how we can enable this feature from the properties of desktop flow. I will cover the details later in the demo. The key benefits of repair flow errors are it improves the reliability of automation by reducing errors. Fixing error definitely increases the success rate and improve the efficiency of the operations. It further reduces the downtime for robotic process automation scenarios. Prerequisite. To enable this feature, we must enable some configuration setting in Power Platform Admin Center. The two important settings that we should enable are first is the Copilot setting and second is the desktop flow repair at runtime configuration. We have a separate setting for attended and unattended run in Power Platform Admin Center. One important thing to note here is we need to enable the Power Platform environment as managed environment to make this feature work in unattended mode scenarios. Now I switch to the live demo. In this demo, I will cover unattended implementation. So I start with the prerequisite. So this is the admin center. Click manage and then go to the environment. So I have used QA environment, that is the developer environment. So first of all, it is a managed environment, as you can see, because it is needed for unattended scenario cases. Then we'll go to the settings. Yeah, settings. And then go to the features. So you can see, repair at runtime for attended and unattended scenarios. These are enabled, right? So these are the prerequisite. Now go back to the Power Automate desktop flow. So to enable this, feature, we have seen how we set up, how we configure all the setting at the Power Platform environment side. And now this setting can also be enabled, disabled from the desktop flow side. So if you create a new flow, you can see repair flow error preview feature. So you have to enable this to, so that the Copilot assist in fixing the errors. And now for the existing flow, you can just go to the properties and you can enable and disable this feature. So here you can see it is in disable. So if I enable it, it gives us two options. One option is manually repair. So if you choose this option, the Copilot would not suggest you the fix for the selector. But if you choose repair with Copilot, then the AI will suggest a fix for the missing UI element. So in the demo, we'll cover this feature, repair with Copilot. So I have already created a desktop flow. So the scenario is we have a invoice app, want to show invoice window app, and we want to extract this data, this in it, and create a CSV file of this data. So this is the scenario. let me show you all the action which are there in the desktop flow. So first action, run application, will run the application. The bot will run the application using this action. And next, this is extract data from table. This is an action that that locate the UI element and and put all the data grid data, put all the tabular or data grid data in a variable. So if we see here, so this is a selector. So in this case, this selector is invalid. So when I run this, we will get a invalid or selector not found error. So once we have this in a variable, we just close the application, using the application ID, process ID that we get from the output of this run application action. And finally, we create a CSV file using the data from table variable, and we will store in a local file folder. So this is the use case. So as I mentioned, it contains invalid selector for this data grid element. Let me show you. So if I run in debug mode, it will not able to identify that data grid because it is invalid. All right. So you can see it throws an error like at action name extract data from table. It is not able to find that UI element. Okay, so let me save it. And now what we'll do, we'll trigger the desktop flow from the cloud in unattended mode. So I have already created a cloud flow. So now we have the desktop flow with invalid selector, and how we will see how Copilot will suggest the fix for that. So here you can see it is a manual trigger flow just for demo purpose, and this is the flow that we will trigger in unattended mode. So we have a remote server machine on which it will run in unattended mode. Let me trigger this flow because it takes some time to trigger the flow to the remote machine if we trigger it from the cloud. Now this is the remote machine. So I've already we already have a machine attached to this environment. If I go to this machine and go to the run queue, you can see this desktop flow is triggered from the cloud. And if we go to the desktop flow run details, you can see we have a instance running. If we go there, so it is executing on that remote machine. So for the recommendation, we have to go to the automation center tab, because all those recommendation, these are the feature of manage environment, and we can get all these recommendation here. So it is taking time, the bot takes some time to run the machine. So we'll wait for another couple of seconds, some second I mean. So this is not the latest one. Let me refresh it. Yes. So we have in this error repair failed desktop flow. So let me click repair with Copilot. So you can see it is real-time notification, and it recommends like it has found one invalid UI selector or UI element during automation, and it also gave an action to to correct that UI element, and it also suggests UI element to select from it. So this is the desktop flow. The repair status, it is pending, and it also have a timeout. So it basically has timeout property. If any user doesn't act by this time, the flow will fail eventually. It also gives the start date when this desktop flow trigger from the cloud and on which machine. So if I click here, you can see we have different options. So this run details will take us to the desktop flow run detail. Flow details will take to the details of the flow. And ignore, and if we click ignore and continue, then we are not fixing the UI element and the flow will fail. But let's repair this, with AI. So you can see the error UI element not found, and it also gave the script name or desktop flow name, the action number, and the subflow where it encounter the error, and the application name. So this is the default selector that we had, invalid selector, I mean, that we already had in the desktop flow, and this is a suggested fix. You can see, right? So it has identified that data grid that has an invalid selector, and this is the the correct or the valid selector for this suggestion provided by the Copilot. And we can click full screen, yes. So this is a screenshot of the remote machine where it struck with this UI element because it could not found. And then so on the bottom you can see we have two options. If we ignore and continue, definitely the flow will fail because we haven't applied any fix, and because of invalid selector it will fail. But this apply to once is it temporarily provide a push the valid selector into the desktop flow, and this flow will run from here. So let's click this. Yeah, so applied. So this UI selector applied to this run. So you can see now we don't have any action to perform. And in older we can see, let me go back again. So this is, we have just fixed, and it also gives us the outcome feature. With this feature we can see like who has take the action, who user has take the action on along with a timestamp. So now let's check the the desktop floor run instance. Yeah, so you can see the flow ran successfully, and it has executed all the steps, all the action within the desktop flow. And going back to the cloud flow also, it ran successfully. So let me go back to my last slide, which covers the known issues and limitations. So some of the major limitations are this feature is available only in US region. It works for desktop flow saved in schema version 2.0. This feature limits in adding persistent selector for the desktop flow trigger in unattended mode. As we have seen in the demo, it only gives a temporary fix for that particular run instance. So if we trigger this cloud, this flow from the cloud, it will again struck there, and it will prompt for the recommendation. Then it could not suggest error fix for UI element in virtual desktop. The feature does not support child flow execution, UI element collection, and picture in picture execution. You may refer to the official link mentioned at the bottom of this slide. Now, there are some challenges, that we don't have a real-time notification to the user, to go to the recommendation screen and apply the fix. So for that, I've seen there are some challenges right now in this feature, and hopefully Microsoft team will add this feature in the product itself. So the challenge is it is very impractical for user to continuously track the recommendation from the automation page, and moreover this this has a timeout period. So if we miss, then obviously the bot will fail, and it will hamper the automation process. And also it's very difficult for user to remember the schedule flow. So if we have a schedule from the cloud, nobody will remember when they will run, and we should be ready. If there is an error, we should be ready for the fix. So the chances are user may miss taking action on these recommendations. So I have written a blog to a kind of extension to this feature, to resolve this feature or the challenge, to resolve all these issues or the challenges. Yes, so to summarize, you have seen how easily we can set up repair error feature to increase the success rate of UI and web automation in unattended scenario. I hope you found this session useful. Have a colorful and safe Holi. Thank you.
Awesome stuff, Manish. Very, very cool. Really love to show how you could utilize the technologies like Copilot and Power Automate Desktop together to kind of solve some of those errors and stuff like that. So really appreciate it. Great, great job. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, everybody, let's move on to our next presenter. Salah is here to talk about how to build a PTO assistant with Copilot Studio. Now, this is Salah's first presentation, by the way, on the call, so let's show him a ton of love and appreciation. Salah, if you'd like to take over the screen with your slides and kick off your demo.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me here. Hello, everyone. My name is Salah bin Saleh. I work as Power Platform Consultant. I'm based in Florida. You can connect me with me on LinkedIn by scanning the QR code. Today, I'm going to give a fully functional demo on how I have created a PTO Assistant agent, which is built using Copilot Studio. It's a simple, practical business use case, which any organization can implement. Using this agent, user can submit a PTO request, check for his submitted PTO. Manager can come to the same agent and check for his team members submitted PTOs, approve or rejected. The agent which I have created for PTO Assistant is a declarative agent. It means there is no code, no custom topics. It's just operate on predefined instructions. Declarative agent use Microsoft 365 Copilot Orchestrator built on top of foundation models. It also have instructions where user can define primary functions and overall behavior of the agent. Basically, they tell agent how to behave and what is supposed to do. So we, as I've defined here, like how this agent should behave and how it is supposed to help users. Then agent also have knowledge. This is the place where agent get its information from. It can pull data from files, SharePoint library, or public websites. A user can directly upload files here if they need. Declarative agents also have actions. This allows agents to actually do things like get real-time data from tables, update a request in SharePoint list. You can add connectors or flows and actions in this through add action button. So in my demo, I have logged in as a Pradeep. He came to this agent to submit his PTO request. And he can just come here and say, okay, can you please help me create a new PTO request? And he's giving his start date and end date. So the moment he type on the left hand, we can see an activity map. Copilot is deciding which action it should trigger. So based on my prompt, it's analyzing my context and intent based on the instructions which I have given in the action. It triggered this particular one call as create new PTO request. So the name of the flow and the instructions in the action is really important. So now it's asking me like, what is the title of PTO which I want to give? I will say, okay, Disney trip. Now, if I go to my SharePoint list, I can see a Pradeep request has been created successfully. A PTO submission has been done. So like a flow got triggered by this action and a SharePoint list, a record got created. Now using the same agent, a user can ask, okay, can you please get status of my submitted PTO? So based on the prompt, it has triggered a action over here, and it says like, okay, your PTO request title Disney trip has been successful. Oh, okay, submitted. It's currently in pending status. Okay, it's created again. Now, as I'm in Pradeep account, I can switch to manager account and see how a manager can see his team members submitted PTOs and try to approve and reject his few PTOs. So now I'm in my account and I'll try to say, okay, can you please get submitted PTOs of my team members? So based on my prompt, it has triggered a connector called get direct reports. What this direct report does is like it get all the users who are working under my account, and it through this direct report, it shows like 3 users are working under me, and it will go to SharePoint and get the PTOs submitted by those users. This is something called as a dynamic chaining, where it take output of one asset and use it to get information from another asset. So it can be a connector or flow or knowledge files. So like has it, how it got email addresses from get direct reports connector, and then it has passed that email addresses to SharePoint to see if that particular user have submitted a PTO request or not. So now we can see we have 3 pending requests from 3 users. We will go ahead and try to approve and reject PTOs. Okay, so here's the thing. I added an extra feature to this agent. As I said, please approve Megan PTO request. Copilot, what it did, like it went extra ahead, one step ahead, and asked me, okay, Megan has the following task due on her requested PTO period. So if I go on a planner, I can see Megan is working on few of important tasks, and her PTO request is also on the same date. But as a Copilot, it's reminding me, hey manager, you forgot this person is working on particular important urgent task. Do you still want to proceed and approve PTO request for this user? I'll say, oh no. So I said, okay, no, deny her PTO request and send an email stating her PTO request is rejected. So if we see in the email on the connector on the left side, Outlook email, the subject is already created by Copilot. I haven't given the email. I just gave Megan a name, and it has taken the email addresses from the previous connectors and added to this field. And this body also, it got created automatically and said, okay, has been denied due to pending task that need to be completed during this period. So it has created an email body by itself. So this was the case of like approve. Let's see like how the Copilot behave when I said deny. It say, okay, Nestor. So when I say deny, Copilot has not triggered the connector to check planner task for that request, because as I'm denying, it doesn't need to do that verification. But when I said for Megan to approve a PTO request, it went ahead and did a verification on my behalf, saying that okay, manager must have forgot. Let's check the planner task if there's any task for that user for that PTO request. I think that's all I have. Thank you, David.
Awesome stuff, Salah. And I love how you set this up because honestly, this is a real world scenario and it was super easy to do, right? And you showed that. So really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. Great job. All right, last but not least is Samuel. He's going to talk to us about enhancing your Canvas apps with custom URLs. Now, this is also Samuel's first presentation on the call, so let's absolutely show him another round of appreciation and love. Samuel, you see your screen. Take it away.
Great stuff. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, certainly I joined these a few weeks back, and like you said at the start, you don't have to necessarily be solving time travel. I thought I had quite a cool idea. It would be useful to share. So this presentation is to talk about how you can enhance your Canvas apps with custom URLs, some of the different choices that you've got, some of the pros and cons that are linked with them, and there's a bit of there's something that you can download at the end. So let's get into it. Hopefully everyone can see my screen okay. Okay, so people who've used Canvas apps have probably seen this URL before, or the like before. Not very easy to remember, pretty messy. You can parse it in terms of the environment name, the application name, and your tenant ID, etc. But it's not something that you would remember or be able to type by memory. So it sucks, right? If you're trying to share something that's got a memorable name, or you want that vanity domain to be there, maybe you're going for a merger, that kind of thing. This doesn't really cut it. So there's quite a few different options for actually launching Canvas apps. So you can either launch them directly with the link. Maybe you've sent the link in the Power Automate flow as a weekly email that people need to launch and provide their forecasts, that kind of thing. Maybe people have bookmarked themselves, or the company policies have set them to bookmark in their browsers. One useful way is if your people use Microsoft Teams quite a lot, then adding it into their Teams rail is quite useful, because then the URL is never actually seen by people, and it's where people exist when they work day to day. One thing that we've done in the past year is we've added an app inside an Outlook add-in for proactive HR feedback application. It's really good for people to be in the flow of work because they love Outlook and be able to just see an email and give some feedback directly from there. So that's certainly possible with a bit of extra development work. For iOS devices, I find it's difficult to distribute apps using the Power Apps app itself, especially if you want to get them on the home screen. But we use Intune Web App for that, which is quite good. You can put the shortcut straight on the home screen of people's devices. The only downside of that is if you need to have the extra capabilities like the camera and that kind of stuff, you might need to actually use the Power Apps app rather than the browser itself. What I'm talking about today are these two ones in bold here. So using an iframe and using redirects. So let's jump into that. So sort of pros and cons to each of these. If you put your Canvas app inside an iframe, then you've got that vanity domain and it's always visible. You've got that control over the end-to-end side of things. So maybe your Canvas app changes. Maybe you need to move it into a different environment, and the URL is going to change. Actually, your iframe URL can stay the same. There are some functions that don't work, which I'll show you shortly, and responsiveness inside iframes is always a tricky one, I found. Also, authentication issues if you're using protected browsers with like third-party cookies blocked can be a real problem with iframes. Whereas redirects, you don't get that vanity domain up there always visible, but the apps will work as they natively designed. The authentication will be seamless, but you've got a little bit less control of that end-to-end side of things. So to do iframes or redirects, you need some kind of hosting, right? Whether it is to hold the Canvas app inside the iframe or a web host to be able to redirect that. For the redirection, you could use something like Netscaler or those kind of tools. But what I'm showing here today is these couple of hosting different options. So SharePoint, really straightforward way that you can put an iframe inside there, really easy to get going. But the URL path is always going to be companyname.sharepoint.com/site/ whatever your site is and whatever your page is, right? It's not, you're almost in the same territory as the apps.powerapps.com. The other two options I've used Azure storage static sites. So when you create an Azure storage resource, you can create static sites inside there, and Azure static web apps. I found that the storage sites are initially pretty much easier to set up, but if you want to do things like vanity domains and certificates, it can be a little bit more tricky to do, whereas static web apps are a lot simpler to get those extra bits of configuration there to get your nice URL. Certificates are free. It does require you to connect it to a Git repo like GitHub and do the deployments and that kind of stuff from there. But once you've got it set up, it's really, really simple to get going. So let's get out of PowerPoint because it's boring. Let's get into a demo. So I'm going to show you an example of an iframe, an example of a redirect, and then I'm going to show you a link shortener PowerPoint solution, Power Platform solution that I've built. So let's jump into that. Okay, so I've got these static web apps here that I've created. If you haven't used these before, and this is the configuration. When you first set them up, initially you connect them to your GitHub or other Git repository, and then you can configure your custom domain on top. It gives you these funny named URLs each time, which I always look out for, always make me chuckle a little bit. So I've got one for a redirect here called app.tmas.uk, which is my domain, and then one called iframe.powerapps.tmas.uk. So if I open another browser here and let's test out the iframe one. Just wait for this to load up. And you can see here, it's got my iframe here. I'm also passing in a parameter into this as well. So sometimes parameters are really useful. And you can see the parameter comes up in the title bar at the top here. Now, by default, when you're using iframes with Power Apps, the camera control and the microphone control won't work. I'll show you how you can add a little bit of extra code to your iframe to pass that through and to make sure that works. But one of the things, as I mentioned before, the copy function here, so you see I've got some text at the bottom here. If I click copy, that will try to copy this text. But you'll see at the top, it's failed, right? So there are certain functionalities which might not work with inside our iframe, but the URL looks pretty slick, and you're getting those parameters to pass through as well. Let's try the redirect option. So if I hover over it, you can see the URL path there, and I'm passing through a few parameters as well into this. But you'll see pretty quickly, it'll redirect me to the more native URL path here. So same app, same things kind of work a similar way. But if I click this copy button, I don't get the error message. If I click paste, then you'll see that functionality works. So you can see the difference there between the iframe and the redirect. The redirect will work more natively, but it doesn't look as nice as the iframe. So you can really sort of choose what your benefit or what you prioritize really. In terms of the HTML configuration for each of these, so this is the redirect one. I'm not from a software engineering or development background. I'm from a support operations, and I've kind of come into low code, no code later on in my career. So I had a little bit of help from Copilot and writing some of these things here. But yeah, essentially what this is doing is it's got the app URL here. It's getting the parameters and it's doing a redirect in JavaScript, and then having a button if the redirect doesn't work. And then if I show you the iframe option here, very similar. This is the little bit here that if you're doing your iframe and you want your camera and stuff to come through, you need to add these little bits to your iframe code to make those capabilities work too. Okay, so I thought, okay, this is kind of cool, but what about if I want to have a URL that has all of my links in there, and I want it to be really easy to manage by somebody who doesn't want to go and manage it in Azure. So Azure Static Web Apps, there's a way to do this without being inside HTML files or anything like that. What you can do is you can click on routes, and what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to redirect at the static web app layer as opposed to in your JavaScript on the client side essentially. So you can see here I've got a couple of short codes here. If I click on them individually, they'll load up and show me where they're redirecting to. So that's really cool, like way of having one domain and having a short code for each of your apps that people can be redirected to. But actually updating it in here for a non-privileged user is a bit difficult. What do all these things mean to the uninitiated, right? So what I did was I built this solution called the Power Platform Link Shortener. And it's made up of a few different things. It's got a model-driven app. It's got a Power Automate flow, and it's got a GitHub custom connector. And essentially what it does is it allows you to have all those links in the model-driven app, and each time you update one of them, it will kick off this flow and it will write to the Azure Static Web App. So if I flip over to the Azure Static Web App, essentially that's all that that list of routes is this section here, right? So pretty simple to parse and things like that in Power Automate. So what I'll do is I'll create a brand new one in here, conscious of time as well. So I'll try and get this done as quick as I can. I'm just going to do one to the BBC website. So I put my name, the code, what I want to redirect it to. And what will happen is in the background, that Power Automate flow will trigger and it will go and write to GitHub. But whilst that's whirring away there, you can see some of my other shortcut links. You can see this app.teamas.uk/escape. There's an escape room that I've built in Power Apps. If you're interested in that kind of thing, go and check out my my blog at teamas.co.uk and download that. And yeah, it's quite good fun, based on a server room at a previous organisation I used to work at. And then you can see the other stuff here if you go to shortcuts, and then this is the shout-outs app that I'd loaded into my environment. But I'm hoping if I go app.teamas.uk, go to BBC, maybe it hasn't run quite yet. What happens is when it runs in the background, it will write to GitHub, write to that file, and then this CI/CD pipeline runs in the background. And if I refresh this, it just takes a minute or so. So hopefully, let's see the grand reveal. There we go. It's done that redirect there. So this is a nice way of having one domain and having all of your short links there. I'm talking about this for Canvas apps, but actually you can have it for your model-driven apps as well. You've got a bit more control over your model-driven apps links with the environment URL, but it's still got the dynamics.com. So I've put this /link, and that's the link manager application that I was showing you there before. So yeah, that's that. Let me just go back to my presentation quickly. Just a last couple of things I just want to share on there. So these are links. I think David, you put those in the chat, which is cool. I've got a short link for the repo there too. And yeah, you can get me on all of the social media stuff on at Shami Owens on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Twitter, X, all that kind of stuff at Shami Owens. And yeah, that's me. Hope you've enjoyed that. And if you've got any questions, then yeah, connect with me on one of those.
Awesome, Samuel. Very, very cool stuff. Really love how well thought out all of that is and how easy it is to connect it. And I love how you said that you don't have that formal background, but you were still able to utilize the technology and learn how to use it and manipulate it and build upon it. And you were inspired to share it with us. So thank you so much. Thank you to all three of our presenters, Manish, Salah, and Samuel. Again, both of the last two, Salah and Samuel being your first time, you both rocked it. Really appreciate it, again, for all that you're doing in the community. All three of you, thank you so much. All right, now, if you would like to continue to collaborate with the community, we've got a Discord server all set up so you can impress your kids that you know what Discord is and you could be inside of Discord. It's a great one-stop shop, if you will, for collaborating with other members of the community, because we got lots of channels that are on different topics that span the spectrum of the community, but it's all in one place. So very cool, over 2,700 plus members. You could be next, aka.ms/community/Discord. And we would love to get some feedback on how these calls are doing. So if you would like to let us know, even if you have already let us know and they're still working for you, let us know again. We love to hear the good news. And of course, if you got any suggestions, we'd love to hear those too. Just please keep them positive. With that, the recording will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel or less, aka.ms/community/YouTube. Subscribe today. You'll be alerted as soon as it drops. You can also follow us on Twitter/X, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, all of the socials, all of the time. The next call will be 2 weeks from today, March 27th at 8 a.m. I think it's actually going to be 8 a.m. for those in the States or North America still. So it's 3 weeks between now and when the next one shifts over in Europe. So it'll be on Thursday, I promise. The next Viva Connect SharePoint Framework will be next week. I believe it's 7 a.m. Pacific. So we can count on being there no matter what together. It'll be a great time. Follow us, and if you go get those downloads at ak.ms/community/calls, they will give you access to all of the invites, and those invites, most recent ones. So even if you want to replace them, by the way, that's a pro tip. Maybe go replace if you got older ones that showed you an hour early today or something. You can go get the newest ones, and those will be sure to get you when we will be there. So thank you all again for all that you are doing in the community. You are amazing. We appreciate everything you do. Don't stop doing the amazing stuff you're doing. We love you for it, and we would not have all these cool tools and opportunities to share if it were not for each and every one of you. So keep it up. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.